ChatGPT released their Atlas AI-based browser, which
Yep.
is absolutely brilliant, by the way. Like, I love it. Have you used it yet?
I have not used it. I downloaded Perplexity's browser a while back and tried it
Okay.
out, but I haven't like switched my browsers yet, at least.
Okay.
But I want to hear more about your experience with it.
So I've actually started using it. So you can kind of see this is Earnings Hub in Atlas. It basically looks exactly like Google and Google Chrome. And I think it is Google Chrome under the covers because
It is.
Chromium is sort of
Yeah, it's
like an
based on
open
Chromium.
source. Yeah. But but it has this sort of ChatGPT button on the top right where when you click it, it can actually, you can ask it questions about the page you're on. You can also ask it to do things like, can you tell me when exactly is Tesla reporting earnings? So let's see if it figures this out. So, okay, it's scheduled to report after the market close on Wednesday. So according to the earnings hub website, can you find any additional details by clicking on it? So now I'm going to see if it can sort of like navigate for me. Oh, there we go.
Hmm.
So now you can kind of see like it just opened up the
Right, so it
Tesla
clicked
modal.
into Tesla. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's still thinking.
Mm.
Let's
This
see
is what
what
happens with a
does it.
live
Okay.
demo.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that you can also like ask it, um, I don't know, like it's pretty impressive what it can do. So let me see if I can ask it something like, can you go to the following weeks and find out when Robinhood is reporting? So it essentially can navigate and do things for you.
Right. And it
Mm,
looks like there's some safety checks to
Oh,
make sure
okay.
it's not like
Yeah.
going too crazy.
So it actually did a search of Robinhood, asked me if it's okay to open that, and it is
It
correctly
looks like
saying that it.
it figured out what the URL structure was and just took you right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It is pretty smart in that way.
Yeah, that's
Whereas like
cool.
in the past questions I've asked it, it actually navigates like directly in the in the UI as
Right.
opposed to doing it the way it did. But yeah, anyway, so this browser, I could see it being a great replacement, especially if you're doing travel stuff. Um, if you're trying to sort of like find a bunch and compare a bunch of hotels or different um, air destinations or whatever, or air flight information, it can do a lot of that sort of thing for you, and then even do the booking, which it can do by clicking and filling out forms. So
Right.
this is the first real challenge to Google Chrome, in my opinion, and I think they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But
Or the best addition to Google Chrome because it's built on top of Chrome, technically.
yeah, but like the fact that Chrome doesn't have this, which is what really upsets me about like Sundar and Google, Sundar being slow in executing on Google's AI strategy, because basically Google has all the components, right? But they're not executing as fast as they need to in order to maintain or keep their market share. Um, and ChatGPT, the way they're approaching it, or OpenAI, the way they're approaching it, is that the browser is also like by default, if you open a new tab, it's kind of like their chat window. You can ask it anything and it might just answer it for you, right? Like,
Right.
what's the, I don't know, temperature? I don't know if this is going to open up temperature today. Um, but basically, this is just like a chat with ChatGPT. So it's essentially they're going to go to this model of single app for everything, where ChatGPT is the app and the browser was the only missing piece. So they just brought the ChatGPT conversations into the browser, and now like this is the only app you need for all the things. You don't need a separate app for ChatGPT and a separate app for browsing. ChatGPT is going to just do everything for you. You can, if it needs to browse the internet, great, it'll do that. If it can answer your question right there, it can do that, right?
I
And I
will
think that's
say
a smart strategy.
I am surprised how slow OpenAI was to make this browser because they had competition like Perplexity. I think it was called the Comet browser.
Yeah.
They've had that released for a few months now, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and it just seems like a no-brainer for all these AI companies,
For sure.
have a browser
If,
like this.
from OpenAI's perspective, though, it would be better to do it right and make sure that you put the safety governance in place and do all of that because they have such a large user base with 800 million users, active users. You don't want to misstep to where like you have a major security issue and then like everybody is ragging on it as a result of that.
So isn't that the same argument for Google not moving too fast here?
Yes. Um, Yeah, I mean, it is, but they have been very, very slow, and their first attempts have also been terrible. So, like with Gemini, their first attempts were like got it wrong so many times where
Yeah,
it didn't, it was a little too woke at one point in time where it wouldn't like render things or like create pictures of uh, people
George Washington
correctly or
accurately, yeah,
yeah. Um, so it would be nice if they wanted to take their time and do something like way superior, but they've been taking their time and doing something inferior. So
right, I see.
it's been sort of like lackluster.
Yeah, I will
Um,
say I do have security concerns in the sense of like technically the AI can read anything on the page. That's how it works. And you're
right.
supposed to authorize when it's going to read something. But the fact that it has that capability built in does give me pause to use a browser like this. Now, if it's directly through Google, little bit of a different story just because I feel like Google already has all my data. Whereas like OpenAI through our conversations, they definitely have a lot of my information,
Yeah.
but they don't have everything. And this would virtually give them everything.
Yeah. That's the other thing is that like because the browser can also do things on your behalf and you have to give it permission in order for it to be able to do that. But in order for it to be most useful, you want to give it that kind of permission. This is a different level of access to everything than historically because like literally it can go to your bank account and transfer money and like it can buy things on your behalf and fill out forms and so the we're like slowly handing over like literally our agency to AI little by little
Right.
and where this goes could be very problematic but it's also very very helpful in the
Yeah.
meantime.
And one last thought on this, and then we can move on to Tesla earnings, is what we talked about a couple episodes ago, which was integrating the AIs more into the operating systems themselves. We were specifically talking about iOS and Android, but this is exactly what I would like to see at the OS level.
Mm,
It's great that it could work within the entire browser because the browser is like 90% of what people do on a computer these days.
right.
But really, I think Apple and Google, when it comes to Android, need to integrate this at a much higher level.
Yeah, like deeper into the phone browser or
Yeah.
phone
Like
operating system.
the the fact that they figured out how to control a browser, it's just okay, take that up and control the entire computer, be able to use any application, you know?
Right, right. But security is going to be a major problem. The reason they're nowhere near doing it is not because of security, though, for like Apple's case, because they just simply don't have the talent. They took their eyes off the ball. They haven't done anything AI wise. So it's been sort of like very disappointing. But the number one issue when they eventually do go that route is going to be how do we make sure that like there is some sense of security or some level of security where the a hacked or like a flaw in the operating system doesn't mean that oh you just lost all your bank accounts.
Right.
Like it would be really really bad.
Yeah, it almost seems like because there are ways to tell the browser what type of input something is. So, like when you're typing in a password, it's, the private dots.
Right.
It's almost like we maybe need some new types of inputs where, like, if you're entering a dollar amount for a trade, that needs to be flagged as like a sensitive input that maybe an AI needs to use more caution or maybe shouldn't touch at all, things like
Right.
that.
Right.
But I'm sure that'll come up in the next year.